So hello guys, welcome to the first video of economics series. And those of you who don't know me, so I just want to tell that I am Aditya, the founder and the owner of Sri Radharaman Institutes. It is basically an educational channel where we have uploaded videos on ISC subjects, mainly from the commerce stream. We have uploaded videos on ISC commerce both for class 11 and for class 12, but they are in Hindi. But this time we are now going to upload ISC economics both for class 11 and for class 12, and these are going to be in English. Okay, so this is the first lecture of that series where we are going to have a look at our first chapter, which is definition of economics. Okay, so this chapter is the most basic chapter, because while we are going to study about economics and the main things or the other things which are concerned with economics in the later chapter, the first question which we need to answer is, what is economics basically? What is the meaning of economics, or what is this economics? Okay, so since we are studying economics, so it makes sense that we first need to know that what is this economics. So basically, if I want to give a definition of economics for you, and at this level of yours, that a primer definition of economics, or such a definition of economics which would be most appropriate for you, so that is going to be a bit tough, because explaining such a complex subject, the basic definition of such a complex subject to people of your age, that is a very complex thing. So I would not rather go very deep in explaining the basic definition of economics, or gathering this and that and spreading it to you. I would just tell you a basic definition of economics, and you need to keep that in mind. And it is my experience from which I am saying this, that it is better to not study the definition of economics, rather to study the next chapters, because when you have studied all the chapters, so then naturally and automatically the definition of economics is clear to you. What I want to say is that I'll explain you what is the definition of economics, but don't give too much pressure on that. Even if you don't understand the definition of economics, or you don't have a bird's eye view of the definition of economics, there is no problem. Why? Because even though not having any knowledge about the definition of economics, if you study the remaining economic chapters, you will automatically, there will be a concept in your head. Okay, so I won't go very deep on that. So the how I am going to explain to you economics is by looking at some examples or some questions which we have in our daily life. Now I don't know about the questions which you might be asking, or your mind might be wanting to know, but the questions which I always wanted to know is that China and India, they both gained independence at the same time only. It was a few years, I would say a few years here and there, but India and China, they gained independence at the same time only. But why is it so that India is now, compared to China, not that much economically grown as much China is? We know how powerful China is. So this was a question which always floated in my mind, that although gaining independence at the same time, and India having much more resources than China, but how did India lag behind in the economic development, and China went away so far? So this was a very main question which always came into my mind. The second question which I always wanted to be known is that in our country, we know that there is a lot of poverty, there is a lot of poor people, but why does the government not do so? Like you know that there is lot of poverty, there is lot of poor people in the country. So why doesn't the government print notes and distribute it to the people free of cost? Because we know that for printing a 500 rupees note, the government only needs to spend about 10 or 20 rupees. So why doesn't the government print notes and give it to the people? This was my second question, which always floated in my mind. Apart from this, there were also other questions uh, like how is the rate of dollar defined? Like now we know that $1 is basically equal to 80 rupees. But my question was always that how is this rate defined? How is it that $1 is equals to 80 rupees? Why isn't so that 1 rupees is equal to $80? Why is this so much difference in the value of both the currencies? So like this, there were many questions which came into my mind. But if I look at all these questions, so these questions are involving some kind of money matter in that, some kind of money or paisa matter that is involved in these questions. When I ask that how did China grow so much and India lagged behind, there is also the involvement of money, and I would say rather say that this is basically an economic question, that how did a full economy gain so much prestige, gain so much power, but one economy is still behind? How did this happen? Apart from this, if we look at the question that why doesn't the government uh, distribute money free of cost to the poor people? This is a question which is involving money in itself. Apart from this, if we talk about $1 being equal to 80 rupees, there is the question of money. So if we look at these questions are involving some kind of money in them, a bit of money or something related to money that is involved in these questions. So we can say these questions are money related questions, or if we say more professionally, then we can say that these questions are economic questions, means the questions which are related to the economy or a nation, that is known as economic questions. So the only thing which I want you to remember about economics is that economics is a social science which is concerned with economic questions. This is the only thing which I want you all to remember, that economics is a social science which is concerned with economic questions. So if we move on to our definition, so we can see over here, economics is a social science which is concerned with economic questions. Like we saw over there, that we have already known that economics deals with economic questions. Now a question arises that what is this social science? What is social science basically? We have heard about science, but what is social science? So if we talk about science, then we need to know a little bit about science, that what is science basically about. So we know that science is a body of knowledge which is gained from experimentation and observation. Okay, so science is basically a knowledge which we can say, science is basically a knowledge which we gain from experimentation and observation. Now if we talk about this science, then there are two types of science. One we call the science which is concerned about material things like physics, chemistry, biology, and the other science is concerned about the society, like the people like you, like me. So basically science has two parts. One, I can say, I don't know the real name of that, but we can call that portion as the material science, means the science which is concerned with substance, energy, then life, all these things. And the other science is concerned with the society, the people like you, like me. Now basically the science which is concerned with society, that is known as social science. The science concerned with society is known as social science, and economics is such a science. The science which is concerned with the society, economics is a type of that science. Like in economics we don't talk about physics like force, nature, Newton and all those things. Here the matter which is that is regarding to the society or regarding to the economy. So economics is a social science which we have cleared that what is the meaning of a social science, which is concerned with economic questions such as the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. So this is basically, as I told you, you don't remember many things. You just remember that a social science concerned with economic questions, that is known as economics. Now this whole paragraph is about what can be the economic questions, and the economic questions can be like the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. Now if we talk about our economy, then a very big question arises that how much production is required for our economy, which type of production of goods and services is required, how is the consumption of those goods and services done. So basically this is a economic questions. Okay, after that it seeks to explain systematically a large variety of questions pertaining to economic behavior of individuals, the society and the economy. Now apart from answering economic questions, economics also gives us explanation about the economic behavior of individuals, society and economy. Like if we consider ourselves, so nearly each and every day from waking up to sleeping we have done a lot of work, we do a lot of work, like we eat, we go to work, we go to school, we play, we use the phone. So these are the different activities which we do, but apart from these activities there are also economic activities which we do, like we go to the shop, we buy something. So this is basically an economic activity. After that the society, the society also has an economic activity. Like if we consider about the Bengali society, then they have a more preference for the fish and non-veg food, so they spend on that. So that is economic activity of the whole society. Now if we consider about the whole economy, so yes, the economy also spends money. So the first thing which we have known is that the first and foremost thing is that economics answers economic questions. The second thing is that economics explains the economic behavior, means each and every unit of the country, it can be an individual, it can be a group, it can be the whole economy as well. So how these units are behaving economically, that explanation is also given by economics. After that it studies how individuals, business, governments and nations make choices about how to allocate resources. Like we know that the natural resources which we are having, that is very rare. We are having a specific stock of natural resources which we can use for our economic development, but our needs, our wants, that are very much. Like if we consider the petrol in our world, so the petrol is very limited, but the demand of petrol, that is very high. So it becomes a very important question that how much petrol should be used, where the petrol should be used, where the petrol should not be used, means where should the natural resources or the resources which we need for a living, how should those resources be allocated. It seeks to develop principles, theories and models that identify the most important determinants or causes of various economic events. So I might have confused you a lot about this, that what is basically economics. See, in this uh, paragraph which is on your screen, the first and foremost thing which we give is the basic explanation or the basic definition of economics, that economics is a social science which is concerned with economic questions. After that we are after that we know about the other things which are related with economics, like apart from answering economic questions, economics also gives us explanation of economic behavior. Each and every unit, an individual, a group, or the whole economy that has some economic interest. So how is the economic interest? What is the economic interest? Basically the economic behavior, the explanation of economic behavior, that is also given by economics. After that, how are the resources allocated? And after that, the last one is the economic events which take place. This explanation is also given by economics. So if I just give you a basic definition or just a basic outline of this paragraph, then economics is a social science which is concerned with economic questions and economic matters. Means the matters which are related to economy or with money or something like that, that is concerned with in economics. And economics is basically a study of those economic questions and economic matters. So this is basically what you need to remember. And whatever I have said till now, if you are able to remember, then that's very good. But even if you don't able to remember, then there is no worry about that. You just remember that a study or a social science which answers economic questions and explains economic activity, that is known as economics. Okay, that is the only thing which you need to remember. Okay, so we have now understood our definition of economics, or what is economics basically. Now our definition was a definition which I made up myself, or basically the people, the authors and the knowledgeable persons, they have made this definition. But if we look about the definitions which were made by prominent authors, by prominent economists, so what were these definitions? Means we now need to study about those definitions which are historical. In history, in the past years, we have had so much knowledgeable persons or so much knowledgeable jurists or economists, and they also gave a definition of economics. And what was that definition? We need to study about here. Okay, so the first definition which we need to study is the wealth definition. After this comes the welfare definition. Next one is the scarcity definition, and the last one is the growth oriented definition. Okay, so don't worry about the headings, that what is wealth, what is welfare, what is scarcity, what is growth. We just need to go into these. Okay, so the first thing which we need to, which we are coming across is wealth definition. Means now what we are going to study is the definition of economics, or what is basically economics. This definitions or this explanation which was given by knowledgeable persons, very high knowledgeable persons, that is what we are going to study as of now. Now the formal definition of economics can be traced back to the days of Adam Smith, the greatest Scottish economist. Following the mercantilist tradition, Adam Smith and his followers regarded economics as a science of wealth which studies the process of production, consumption and accumulation of wealth. Now if we want to look at the definitions which were given by authors, by prominent authors, so the first and foremost definition which we will be coming across is the wealth definition. We all know what is the meaning of wealth. Wealth means what we call in Hindi sampatti, or something which is an asset to us. Like we can if we call about wealth, so if we are having a 2 crore rupees bank balance, that is our wealth. If we are having 2 kgs of gold, that is our wealth. If we are having a BMW car, that is our wealth. If we are having a two-story building as my house, that is an asset, or that is a wealth. So basically the first definition which was given to economics, that was the wealth definition, and it was given by Adam Smith. And I want to tell you all that Adam Smith is the most important economist and the most famous economist which you can hear of. He is the most important economist, and so the work of him, the work which he has done, they are also very much important in economics. Okay. So the first definition which was given to explain what is basically economics, that was the wealth definition, which was given by Adam Smith. So if we talk about the wealth definition, so Adam Smith said that economics is a science which inquires into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. Means Adam Smith said that economics is a science which inquires into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. Now if we look at Pakistan, then the wealth of Pakistan is nothing in front of India. Pakistan is a very poor country, India is a very rich country. Or if we look at America and India, although America is way ahead, but still there is a small difference between the wealth or the assets which America is having and India is having. So Adam Smith said that each and every country is having its own wealth. So how is this wealth being produced? What is the cause of this wealth? A science which tells us about this, that is economics. He said that economics is a science which tells us that the wealth of nations, the wealth of a country like India or the wealth of a country like America, how is this wealth being produced? How was this wealth accumulated? How is this wealth being used? This question is given by a science, and that science is known as economics. So the first and foremost definition was given by Adam Smith, and Adam Smith, the main focus of Adam Smith was on the wealth definition. He considered that the main study or the main focal point of economics is wealth. How much wealth a country can acquire, or how much wealth a country is having. The main answer or the main thing which economics studies, that is the wealth of the nation. So in his famous book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, he emphasized the production, growth and distribution of wealth as the subject matter of economics. Means in simple language, Adam Smith said that how is the wealth produced, how does the wealth grow with time, and how is the wealth distributed. That is answered by a science, and that science is known as economics. Means the main thing which economics studies, that is wealth. Besides Adam Smith, other classical economists also regarded economics as a science of wealth. Now it was not only Adam Smith who told us that economics is the study of wealth. Apart from Adam Smith, other economists, they also agreed to his viewpoint that yes, what Adam Smith is saying, that is correct. Economics is indeed a study of wealth. How does a country acquire wealth and how does it use wealth? That is the main subject matter of economics. So J.B. Say, the noted French economist, regarded economics as the science which treats of wealth. Now J.B. Say also said the same thing, that economics is a science which treats of wealth, means which studies wealth. That was said by J.B. Say. Similarly, Nassau William Sr. wrote that the subject treated by political economy is not happiness but wealth. And Nassau William, he also focused on calling economics as the study of wealth. How the wealth is acquired, how is the wealth used, that is the main subject matter which economics is. Okay. So this was the wealth definition, means a definition which focuses on wealth. Okay, now if we look about the features of wealth definitions, the first thing which is obvious is the study of wealth. According to the wealth definition, economics is the study of wealth only. The main object of economics is to examine how people earn wealth and spend it. Wealth has been made the focal point of economics by the classical economists. As I told you, the classical economists or the old age economists like Adam Smith, they insisted that economics is the study of wealth, how a country or the people of the country they acquire wealth and they use it. That is the main subject matter of economics. Okay, the second feature is causes of wealth. Economics seeks to examine causes which leads to an increase of wealth. Wealth can be increased by its production and accumulation. Now, apart from studying about wealth, economics also tells us the reason of wealth or the causes of wealth. That how does a country like Pakistan not have much wealth, but a country like India has a lot of wealth. So the main reason behind wealth or what is the cause of wealth, that is also explained by economics. Okay, and the most important feature is economic man. The wealth definition of economics considers an economic man who is aware of his self-interest. The economic man tries to achieve his self-interest by increasing his material gains through acquisition of wealth. And Adam Smith and other economists which gave us the wealth definition, they have insisted on an economic man, means an individual like us. We know the main point is all about human beings. So in the wealth definition, Adam Smith has insisted that a man is an economic man, means somebody who is considered about his economic gains, how much money he is earning and how can he increase the earning. That is the main focus of a man. So the wealth definition says that the normal human being is an economic man, means a man who is considered with wealth, how he can acquire wealth, how he can increase his wealth, how he can use his wealth. Okay, so these are the main features of the wealth definition. That the first thing is obvious, it is the study of wealth. How is wealth acquired, used and spent. The second one is causes of wealth. How does this wealth increase, or what is the reason behind the wealth? That is the second feature. And the last one is economic man. Economic man simply means that there is a person or there is a normal human being whose main motive is to acquire wealth and to increase it. Okay, after this we need to study about the criticisms of wealth definition. Now before I go on to this criticisms of wealth definition, there is something which I want to tell you all, is that see, economics is a social science, and apart from economics, the other social sciences like sociology, political science, if you go on to learn the basics, so you will always have to study the definitions which were given by the prominent jurists or the prominent writers. Like if you study about political science, you will be studying about the definitions given by the political scientists. So the same thing is in economics as well. But a very important feature is that which I want to tell you is that in economics or in any social science, first a person comes, his definition, he gives this definition, and after that definition is criticized by another person who criticizes that definition and brings his own new definition. And after that, the person who brought the second definition, his definition is also criticized by a third person, and The third person introduces his own definition, and in this way it goes on and on and on. Like Adam Smith, he first came and gave a definition of economics. Some people, they did not agree to his definition of economics. They criticized his economics definition, and after that they gave their own definition. The, then some new person came. They did not like the other definition, and they criticized it, and they gave their own definition. So this continues in the any social science which you want to study. Either you study sociology or you study economics, no worries at all. In each and every social science, one person gives the definition and the other person criticizes it. So in the same manner, the wealth definition was given and it was criticized by the authors, after which the welfare definition was given. The welfare definition was also criticized, after which the scarcity definition was given. The scarcity definition was also criticized, after which the growth oriented definition was given. So it continues like this. So the reason why we need to study the criticisms of each definition is that no definition is fully acceptable. There are many loopholes. So if we consider the criticisms of wealth definition, so the first thing which we understand is too much emphasis on materialism. Classical economists had to face bitter criticisms from many thinkers of that time, particularly Thomas Carlyle and John Ruskin. They dubbed economics, so defined as a pig science, a decimal science, bread and butter science, gospel of mammon, etc. They alleged that by defining economics as a science of wealth, classical economists have ignored the higher values of life such as happiness, love, affection, etc. They emphasized that happy living and not getting rich should be the end of human efforts. What matters most is a happy life and not wealth. Now, if you know, obviously you might be knowing Hindi, and even if you don't know, so you might have heard about the phrase that paisa hi sab kuch, that paisa hi sab kuch, that paisa hi sab kuch, I'm sorry. If you know Hindi, then you might have heard about the phrase that पैसा ही सब कुछ नहीं होता है. There are in life other things apart from money. There is happiness, there is the love of family members, the love of your partner. So the first criticism which was given by the other economists or other thinkers was that this wealth definition of economics, that is very much materialistic. It is just considered with the wealth, but the other things which are required for a happy living, like if you want to live a good life, it is not only that you need money. Apart from the money, you need other things also, like affection, like love, like what I can say, the help of your family members. So the first criticism which was given is that why is the wealth definition only considered about wealth? There are other also important things in life such as wealth, such as love, affection, emotions, etc. So why does not the economics consider these things also? The first criticisms which they gave was that why is economics so materialistic? Why doesn't economics put its that why doesn't economics consider other things also? So this was the first criticism which was given by the criticizers of the wealth definition, that economics is such a materialistic view that the other things which are also important apart from wealth, they are being ignored. So this was the second thing. This was the first criticism which was given by the criticizers of the wealth definition. After this was narrow view of wealth. major criticism level against classical economics is that they have defined wealth in a very narrow and restricted sense. Wealth, according to them, consists of mere material or tangible goods. They have excluded non-material goods or services like health and education from the definition of wealth. The classical economists have narrowed down the subject matter of economics to material goods only. Like in the first point we said, that only considering wealth and ignoring other things which are required to live a happy life, economics is a very materialistic thing. And this was the criticism, the first criticism which was given against the definition of economics, that just considering wealth is not good or not appropriate, other things should also be considered. Now the second point says that it's okay that you have not considered other things, but the thing which you have considered over here, the wealth, which is the main focal point of wealth definition, that is also not appropriate. The economists which gave the definition of wealth, they said that the wealth which economics is considered all about is the material thing. Like I have a big I have a big house, that is wealth. I have 2 crore rupees in my bank account, that is wealth. But other things which are also considered as wealth, like a good health, a good education, these things are not being included in the wealth definition. So the first criticism which we have known is that they gave that why is only being wealth taken, why not other things are also being taken over here. And after that, the criticism which is being given is that it's that okay, you have taken wealth, but that too is not appropriate, that too is incomplete. So this narrow view of wealth, that was also a major criticism, that the wealth which you have been talking all about is also incomplete. Okay. Now the third thing is, another shortcoming of the wealth definition of economics is that it has given undue emphasis on wealth, and in the process has reduced man to a secondary place in the study of economics. In the fact, the ultimate objective of economics is to promote human and social welfare, and wealth is only a means to achieve this end. This problem was taken care of by Alfred Marshall. Now the third criticism was that, see, whatever is being studied, that is being done by human beings for human beings. Okay. Whatever we do that is done by the human beings and for the human beings. So whatever we are studying, be it economics, that must be beneficial to human beings. But the wealth definition, according to the wealth definition, the primary objective of economics, or the main focal point of economics, is wealth. So in this way, it has considered the wealth only, but other things which but it has only taken wealth, and the secondary place has been given to a man. Means according to the wealth definition, wealth or sampatti, that is at the top, and the human being is below the wealth. Means in real life we say that humans are always above wealth. मीन्स मेरे परिवार से ज़्यादा और कुछ नहीं है, ऐसे ये सब कुछ बाद में आते हैं. सो दिस थिंग इज नॉट प्रेजेंट इन द वेल्थ डेफिनेशन. इन द वेल्थ डेफिनेशन, द फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट थिंग इज वेल्थ, एंड आफ्टर दैट human beings are being given a position. So this was also a main criticism which was against the wealth definition, that why is being wealth given the first place when it should be that human beings or human welfare should be given the first place. Okay. And the last criticism is it ignores the problem of scarcity. The definition of wealth ignores the basic causes of economic activity, namely relative scarcity of economic resources. The central focus of economics should be on scarcity and choice. Since scarcity is the fundamental economic problem of any society, choice is unavoidable. Adam Smith ignored this simple but essential aspect of any economic system. Now we know that economics is a science which considers about economic questions. So the main criticism which was given is that the economic question which is being answered over here, that is not at all an economic question. The answer which economics is giving, that is the wealth, that is not at all an economic question. Other economic questions or other economic problems, they are not being answered by economics. It is only considered about wealth and other economic questions like the scarcity of resources, the scarcity of natural resources, how these natural resources should be used. These economic problems are not being answered by economics. So this was also a very major problem which was in the economics definition of wealth definition. The wealth definition which was given, that was mainly lagging behind in these things, that the other economic questions were not being answered. It was only considered about wealth. So these were the criticisms which were given against the wealth definition. The first was that it is very materialistic. The wealth definition is saying that economics is all about wealth, but in reality wealth is not each and everything. Wealth is not that everything should be wealth. There is nothing important in life except wealth. So this is not true. There are in life other important things as well, but those important things but not being considered by the wealth definition. The last was, even though the wealth definition emphasizes on wealth, but the main definition of wealth, that was also not appropriate. What wealth should have, that was also lacking in the wealth definition. After this was secondary place to man. For each and every social science, the main thing or the priority which every social science should give is to the normal human being or to the normal man. But the wealth definition gave the first priority to wealth, and after that, if some space was left, then it was for the normal human being. So this was a major criticism. After that was, it ignores the problem of scarcity. Now, apart from wealth accumulation, there are other main economic questions like scarcity and choice. So these economic questions were not being answered by the wealth definition. Okay, so these were the main criticisms. So I'll stop this lecture over here only. We'll talk about the other definitions in the upcoming videos. So see you tomorrow in a different video with a different topic. So do take very good care of yourselves. Have a very nice day. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye. Jai Hind.